The M1A is the civilian version of the M14 used by the U.S. military, and its design can be traced back to the M1 Garand. Like the Garand, it's an extremely rugged and dependable firearm that's capable of exceptional accuracy. In this series of videos, we'll show you how to field strip, clean, lubricate, and reassemble your M1A to keep it running smoothly and reliably. Before we start, it's worth noting that many M1A owners prefer not to tear down their gun every time they clean, especially if the action's been bedded into the stock, as frequent disassembly can loosen things up. The best way we've found to clean the gun while in stock is to lock the bolt back with a device like the M1 Buddy port insert and proceed to clean the barrel normally. The M1 Buddy not only keeps the bolt open and fingers safe, but also catches the used patches as they come out of the bore. Naturally, you can't clean the trigger group or the inside of the receiver this way, but this is not considered a problem for match shooters who will not tear down the gun for complete cleaning until the end of the season. They just want to clean the barrel to maintain accuracy until they're done shooting for the year. In this case, the M1 Buddy is the way to go. Before work can begin, we need to make sure the rifle's not loaded. Remove the magazine and retract the bolt to verify the chamber's empty. Once you're sure the gun is unloaded and all ammunition has been removed from the work area, disassembly can begin. We'll start by turning the rifle upside down on the bench. On the M1A, like the Garand, the trigger guard acts as a latch to lock the trigger assembly in place. To remove the trigger assembly, you'll have to pull back on the rear of the trigger guard to unhook it so that it can be rotated upward. On tighter guns, you'll need a tool like a punch or a screwdriver to get the necessary leverage to unhook the trigger guard. Once you have it unhooked, it can be rotated up to release the trigger housing, which can now be pulled up and out of the stock. With the trigger assembly removed, we can separate the barrel receiver group from the stock. Normally, the stock will come off quite easily, but if the gun's been glass bedded or has an extra tight stock, it may need a little persuasion. The easiest way to do this is to hold the stock upside down by the barrel and receiver and tap the rear of the stock against the bench, preferably on a padded surface. A few light raps should be all it takes. Once you have the stock removed, it should be placed somewhere out of the way to await reassembly. Next is the recoil assembly. To remove the recoil guide and spring, pull the spring forward away from the receiver slightly to take the pressure off the locking connector. Now the connector can be slid toward the right side of the receiver to release the spring guide. This allows the spring and guide to be lifted up away from the receiver and removed to the rear. Be careful while doing this as the spring's under pressure and it needs to be controlled as it's released. With the recoil spring removed, the rifle can now be flipped over to remove the op rod. To do so, draw the op rod back until its guide lug at the rear lines up with the disassembly notch in the receiver. Then we can rotate it upward and pull it away at the same time. Once the op rod's free of the receiver, it can be pulled rearward to free it from its guide beneath the barrel. Now all that remains is the bolt, and it can be removed by sliding it forward and pulling it up and to the right while rotating it slightly. On some guns, this may be a tight fit and require a bit of experimenting to find the exact position where the bolt will come free. Don't try to force it out, as this could possibly result in damage to the bolt or to the receiver. Once the bolt is out, it should be set aside for cleaning as is. The factory doesn't recommend further disassembly for routine cleaning, as it can be a bit difficult. If you do need to tear down the bolt for maintenance, Brownells carries a tool for this job that makes it quite easy. At this point, the gun is field stripped and ready to clean, and we'll show you how to do that in part 2.